Wow, it's been a hot minute since I've sat down here and done a long form video. So let's sit down here and talk about the cervix and what it does during pregnancy and birth. I have here a cervical dilation board. So this is all of the cervixes, the cervical sizes, I guess. So this is 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter means that you can stick one single fingertip inside. And this is 10 centimeters. So going from 1 centimeter to 10 centimeters just to birth a baby. Isn't that amazing? Like, women are incredible. Also, in case we haven't gotten this out here, hi, my name is Kayla and I am a birth doula. I became a birth doula certified back in December, but I've been making content about birth since I think the beginning of 2023. So it's been a year and a half of me talking about birth, and I love what I do. I truly just love what I do. So if you guys are here and you are new here, hi, hello. Okay, so I have some Play-Doh here, and this is to represent the cervix and what it does during pregnancy. So during pregnancy, it is very thick. It's very thick. It's very closed. It is not open. Actually, what you're going to see is kind of like a little opening. It kind of looks like a booty hole. Our anatomy is kind of weird, isn't it? But yeah, what you're going to see is where it will open eventually. The entire purpose of your cervix during your pregnancy is to keep your baby safe. It has enough room that it's not going to harm your baby. Your baby is all the way up here. It has enough room that it's not going to efface and become thinner or become shorter. During pregnancy, it is keeping your baby safe. So when I have a client at the end of pregnancy say, why is my cervix just not dilating? Why is it not thinning out? I have a conversation with them and essentially sit them down and say, you during the last 10 months, your cervix has had one single job, and that is to stay closed. Stay closed, stay thick, stay high, stay big, long, and that is all its job during the entire 10 months. So when you hit that 3rd trimester and you're expected to have some cervical change by term, by 37 weeks, it can be kind of discouraging because you're like, why is my body not doing it? But it is doing exactly what it has been needing to do for 10 months. So for 10 months straight, yes, it's like about 9.5 months of pregnancy is like 40 weeks. I know that a lot of people are like, wait a minute, 40 weeks? But that's not 9 months. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But 10 months of pretty much is what your cervix is supposed to be doing, is staying high, staying firm, not opening. And so in the last weeks of pregnancy, we can go, why is it not opening? Why is it not effacing? Why is it not doing what it's supposed to do at the end of pregnancy? And the thing about it is, sometimes it just wants to stay like this. And that can be so frustrating, and I totally get it. But then the changes happen that need to happen, and it starts becoming shorter. It starts effacing, so it's taking off some of that, and it's not as thick, and it is starting to dilate. That is 1 centimeter. So now let's talk about the words that you may would it even be a video if something like that didn't happen? No, it would not. But let's talk about the things that you would hear talking about your cervix. You're going to hear about the length of your cervix during your pregnancy. During an ultrasound, they're probably going to go in and they are going to see the length of your cervix. If it is too short, that is an indication that you could possibly go into preterm labor. During pregnancy, it is ideal to have a long cervix. It's ideal to have a thick cervix, and it's ideal to have a closed cervix. The next term you're going to hear is effaced. Effaced is essentially the thickness of your cervix. how thick is it? Is it very thick? If you, let's say this is 1 centimeter dilated. So they are going to check your cervix and they are going to feel around here and see how thick your cervix actually is. And they want it to get to 100% thinness. So they don't want any thickness. And remember that effacement usually happens before dilation. That brings me to the next term, dilation. This is my dilation board, and this essentially just shows you 1 through 10, and 10 being how big your baby's head has to be to fit through. So what they are going to do is, first of all, let's talk about consent. They should always be asking for consent to check your cervix at all for any single thing that they do, and you always have the right to say no. And here's how you say that. You say, is this cervical check going to change the course of action? If the answer is no, it is not going to change anything in your plan of care, then you can say, I'm good, I don't want to do this. But anyway, this is dilation. So if you see right here, here's number 1. Usually they can stick 1 single fingertip in there. Here is 2, and they can take 2 fingers. I know that a lot of people think that they take their entire hand. They only use these 2 fingers. These 2 fingers, and they are going to stack them on top of each other, and that is 2 centimeters dilated. 3, they're going to be essentially a peace sign. 4, more of a peace sign. 5, and all while they are doing this, they are checking the thickness of the cervix around. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, but how do you know that it's exactly 10 centimeters? The thing about being 10 centimeters dilated is that there is no cervix left. There is no cervix to feel left. They will feel around the baby's head, and that is all they will feel to know that you are 100% dilated. Sometimes that means you're actually a 9. Sometimes that means you're actually an 8. But all that really means is that there's no more cervix in front of the baby's head. Another thing that you might hear is arrest of dilation. That essentially just means that there has been something that has gone on where you haven't dilated in about 4 to 6 hours. Really depends on the facility, depending on when they classify it as arrest of dilation. But there's some things that you can do to help the arrest of dilation. Sometimes this means that you will have a C-section because there is no more opening of the cervix, and that is so extremely unfortunate. So let's say this actually happened to me. Let's say you get to 8 centimeters and you still have about 2 more centimeters left of your cervix to dilate. There are certain things that we can do. There are more natural things, and then there are medications that we can do to help with dilation. I always recommend doing the more natural things, that is using a peanut ball. I will actually do an entire video on a peanut ball. I'm actually going to order one so I can do the video, but you can do the peanut ball. If you don't have an epidural, you can get on the toilet. That is what we call the dilation station, because it relaxes your pelvic floor muscles and is able to help you bring down that baby and to relax everything and kind of dilate you. So that's what we call the dilation station, is the toilet. But there's like a whole bunch of different things that we can do to help with arrest of dilation. One other thing about dilation and effacement, it doesn't really tell you much until you're in labor. I know a lot of people will go to their prenatal visits and they will have prenatal checkups where their doctor will check their cervix and they will say, oh, you're closed, or you're 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, however far along. And a lot of people say, oh, that means I'm close. Unfortunately, it doesn't. I wish that it did. I wish that it did, because I was this dilated. I was this dilated for 3 weeks. well, technically I was 5.5 centimeters dilated, but essentially I was between these two for 3 weeks. So just because you are closed doesn't mean that you won't have your baby soon. And just because you are 5 centimeters dilated also doesn't mean that you're going to have your baby that day. And I wish that that was not the case, but that is why I say, unless you are wanting an induction and needing like information about your Bishop score and all that kind of stuff, I will do an entire video about Bishop scores. Unless you are wanting an induction, say no to prenatal cervical exams, because they're not going to tell you anything and it's just going to discourage you. So let me know in the comments, have you ever had a baby? Did you have arresto dilation? How far along were you when you had your first cervical exam? And did you unfortunately have a C-section because of arrest of dilation? Let me know in the comments, and I will talk to you in my next one. Bye guys.